the things that I did.
So you're saying, when you say correctional facilities, you were going and visiting people?
Yes, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
But they didn't let you out.
But they wasn't letting me out. Exactly.
In other words, you had taken up some residence.
Yes, sir.
There. Really?
Yes, sir.
Can you remember the first time that you went to jail?
Yeah, I can remember the first time, and wow, I didn't get the message.
What was it for?
I was for theft.
Really?
Yeah.
And did a drink or a drug have anything to do with that?
Definitely. That was one of the underlying issues.
Really?
Yeah. My utilization.
What happened? Because somebody's out there stealing, and they think that they're not going to get caught. They've been getting by for a while. But what happened to you?
Right. Well, the reality was, one was too many, as we learned that in recovery today, and I just wasn't satisfied with the one. In other words, the desire was bigger than me.
Okay.
And what I could handle.
The desire to use.
Yeah.
And so, where were you? What were you stealing? Where'd you get locked up? What happened?
Well, coming out of a store, a local store.
Okay.
And again, it's amazing what you said. A lot of times we can believe that you're getting away with something.
Yes.
But until you get caught,
Yeah.
and I did, and then the insanity kicked in, and then I did it again, and I got caught again. So the reality was there was no escapism, and I did that for quite a few years, thinking that I was going to escape from when I kept running right into every single time.
And what was your drug of choice?
Heroin and cocaine.
Heroin and cocaine together?
Yes.
Speedballing, they used
Yes.
to. Really?
Mixologist.
I remember that. They used to tell me about that. I mean, like I said, I wasn't that bad.
Right.
I just used cocaine.
Okay. A drug is a drug is a
I
drug.
had alcohol.
Right.
Every now and then I
Right.
snorted some heroin,
Still
but
a
I
drug.
wasn't that bad. It's you.
Sir.
You with me?
Right. But one of the most interesting things that I found out in that connectivity was that I allowed myself to stay connected to that. The pull of the lifestyle and the euphoria of the feeling and all of those things that went with that. But, it just wasn't the right connection.
What happened that you got clean?
Well, I had a rude awakening. And a rude awakening for me happened to be the reality of the condition that I was in, especially the last time that I got locked up. I mean, broke. And I mean in every sense of the word. I was physically broke, mentally broke, spiritually broke, socially broke. I mean, I was just at that point, and it took really facing a life sentence after already spending 26 years of incarceration. It took that as a rude awakening to really gain my attention.
Dexter, I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you telling me that you had gotten locked up where you had actually served already 26 years in the penitentiary?
That is an absolute reality.
And now you got locked up again, and you are facing
life.
Long time.
Right.
Life.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
That is correct.
So what happened that now you out and got 13 years clean? I mean, I would say that even if you didn't believe in God, that had to be God. I mean, you had a life sentence, had already done 26 years, and you hadn't learned your lesson, and now what did you do to get almost life?
What I really want to emphasize is this: is the reality of the 26 years. That's a culmination of three primary major incarcerations and all of the times of arrest and conviction. So I want to clear that up.
Okay.
Let that absolutely be made known.
Somebody out there has to realize, and I think that you realize that was insanity.
Definitely. Repeating the same mistake. And they were mistakes.
Right. And then come getting out and doing the same thing over.
Same thing over and over.
Really?
Expecting a different result, I got the same result. But the other side of that coin is this. You're right. There was a power greater than me. Obviously, divine intervention.
Yes.
The God of my understanding. And I was just one of those people who got humble enough to recognize again my true condition. I cried out. And then I remained in the miracle.
So you were going before the judge, facing life.
Right. Guilty, as a matter of fact.
Did the judge say guilty? Did he slam the hammer down on you and say guilty?
Oh, definitely. Guilty.
How many years did he give you? Did he say to you?
We were looking at 120 years, a 6-count indictment,
120 years
on each count, and already a 3-time loser.
All right.
I know.
That's major.
Yeah,
That's major. I can remember standing before the judge, having done something real stupid back in when I was using, and I was facing 20 years, and I was standing before the judge, handcuffed, leg irons, and my buddy, his name was Spanish. He was from Florida, as a matter of fact.
Right.
But he was just up here visiting, and we were doing some capers together. And the judge looked at him and asked him, "Do you have anything you want to say before I sentence you?" He said, "No." He said, "I'm giving you 20 years in the Florida State Penitentiary." And my heart dropped down to my groin. You understand? Then he looked at me and he said, "Is there anything that you would like to say before I sentence you?" And I quickly said no, because that's all I could think about. And then a voice from out of nowhere came and said, "Your Honor, may I speak to you?" It was my father was in the courtroom.
Right.
He was sitting all the way in the back. He stood up and said, "Your Honor, can I speak to you?" And the judge said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm his father." And the judge said, "Well, come in." And my father was on a cane. He was 80-some years old. And he walked up there to the judge. No, he wasn't 80. He wasn't in his 80s then. But he walked up to the judge because they were sitting up on his bench. And the judge leaned over. My father whispered something in his ear. I don't know what he said. To this day, I don't know what he said.
But it was enough.
But my father went back to his seat, and the judge looked at me, and he said, 20 years. I find you guilty. 20 years. Giving you 20 years. Then he said, sentence suspended. I said, what? To myself, man.
Right.
I mean, I was too ignorant of the power of God at that
Right.
time to be able to say this is God working.
Right.
I just knew ahead that my father somehow, something, right?
Right.
He said, I'm giving you 5 years probation. Now, to go from 20 years in the penitentiary
Right.
to 5 years, I mean, that was like, man, going from a double cheeseburger to just a hamburger. You understand?
Right.
Oh, man.
I mean,
but,
it was the same thing in the
yeah,
courtroom.
so what happened with you? What
And
happened
people in the courtroom were falling out. You know, when I said that, and I heard that come back to me, 120 years, and you should have heard the oohs and ahs.
Right.
Right? And then this moment in the miracle, and I want to make that clear about that connectedness, the moment in the miracle was that I wasn't giving up on faith, right? And then I heard the word suspended.
Suspended.
Providing you, and from that point, I understood the importance, really, of the gratitude. It went to a whole different level.
Right.